Hi, Ianna. I am going to be doing your reading, and I apologize for how long this took. I have been moving around a lot, and quite literally, we're going to be moving houses soon. So I've been doing some packing and math stuff, college math. But yeah, I finally have time for you though. So I'm going to be doing your readings, getting a message from you, getting a message for you from your higher self. And usually, whenever I do readings for new people that I haven't done before, I always feel like I have to give an explanation of what it is that I'm about to do and all of that stuff. But I'm a hope that how I explained it to you made sense whenever I explain it to you in your live. And if not, I can always just re explain it again. But yeah, I'm gonna just get straight into the reading. Maybe someday do like an about me to like get an organized explanation of what it is that I do because I don't have an organized one that doesn't end with like I hope that made sense. But anyways, I'm gonna do your reading, and it starts with it's gonna involve me closing my eyes, seeing what comes to me. Ianna. Oh, you're also gonna have to tell me, is Ianna? Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm terrible with pronouncing names, so I'm not sure. I hope it's Ianna, but you'll just have to let me know. A message for Ianna from your higher self. Okay. Just calming myself down right now so that I'm not in the super type of state of being while doing this. It makes it hard to focus. Okay, what does Ianna's higher self want to say? What message do you want to say? Do you have any messages to give? I see an image of a little girl. And, well, first I see an image of just like a table, a dining room table, and on top of that table is a glass of cookies. It's a jar of cookies, and you can see inside of the glass. It's clear glass, and there's cookies inside of it, and it's kind of a big glass, or maybe it's just not huge cookies, but it's a jar of cookies, and there is a little girl within this scene that's eyeing these cookies and clearly wants them, and she's even at times attempting to reach up and get the cookies, but then she kind of stops herself. She's in between. She's in between actively trying to get what she wants in this scene and then denying herself of what she wants, and it's kind of like this back and forth type of a feeling. And I question, okay, well, what's making her say no? And she feels hesitant because of the repercussions of getting this, of getting these cookies. It feels like there will be trouble that follows. Which, I mean, it makes sense if like there's a parent involved that tells you no, that you can't have one of those, and you get one anyways, then of course there will be trouble that follows. But she's kind of wondering if she wants to risk the trouble of that. But it's really interesting. She's becoming so complex about this situation. She's thinking very complex at such a young age. She sees it more than just that. Like, will I get in trouble? It's like she's starting to think, well, if I do say no, I'm almost denying myself of something that I deserve. She's starting to take an idea. I think usually kids, they find a sense of if they deserve something. I will move this bag. It's making noise. There we go. Usually kids grow a sense of if they deserve something or not, and when they're being rewarded by something from their parents. It starts with their parents, but she at this young age is already starting to choose when and when not that she's allowed to have this thing, allowed to be rewarded by something. She's starting to reward herself, and she's not very young. I would say she's. I can't really pinpoint an age here from my own human like perspective. It's like 5 years old or 6 even. but is very young, and she's thinking very complex for this young age. And I am getting a sense that this is some aspect of you, Ianna. So what else? She's not too sure this will be denying herself, and that's what's making her hesitate because she knows that it's been the cookies are something that she was told, you know, that you cannot go towards, you cannot have, but in this moment she feels like she deserves one. Maybe she hasn't had one for a while, or maybe she did something good that's deserving of one, or maybe she just wants a treat. Who knows? Maybe she simply just wants one and she feels that it's okay for her to have one. She's starting to set these type of stipulations of her own identity for herself. And even the acceptance of those, if you determine if this is okay or not, is I'm trying to put this into words. This is so complex. Again, she's a child, and it's kind of impressive to me. She doesn't really have anyone who's validating these thoughts of hers. There's no one else around, so she's kind of having to choose, is this okay approach or not? Is this even to choose this for myself, to even think this way? Is this okay or is it not okay? And she's even having to do that for herself too. In a way, it feels a bit, there's some aspect of loneliness, but it's not a typical aspect of loneliness. It's not a loneliness that kind of that hurts and that has a weight to it's a loneliness that feels hmm it's a loneliness that's felt. It impacts her, but it's not something that impacts her very negatively, but it is impactful. Like it's something that's there and that stays there no matter what she chooses in this scene. And that impacts her, that it has to be there. So I put myself into this scene to see how that changes things. Like you aren't so alone in here, and I'm allowed. I can present my ideas of what you think if you're okay with that. Like you can have a second opinion that will listen and that won't kind of just push an idea down because of their own personal bias, or it's like the parent thing. I told you you can't have one, and I won't like think about the reasonings you have of why you should have one. You got good grades or whatever the reasons may be. I said no, so no means no. Like I could provide a voice that listens, you know. And she immediately appreciates that, and it impacts her again. But the loneliness doesn't exactly go away because of that. But still, there's something else here that impacts her. She again, I'm still feeling senses of her age and how mature she is for her age and how well she is with managing her sense of identity and the way that she feels and the way that she feels in relation to other things, and even how she's impacted by things isn't she manages that really well. She doesn't turn it into something that impacts her super negatively and causes a sense of like depression or strain or heaviness. It could, it could if she didn't manage it well. I think that's with everybody if we didn't manage it well, but she's managing it so well. But having to manage it in a way, it's like, from my perspective, I see this sense of loneliness that lingers there because of that, because of having to do that. And no matter how she's managing it, it still lingers. But at least it's not lingering in a way that's super heavy, but it's still there. And I asked her, well, what decision do you want to make? Do you want one? And honestly, you can always wait to make a decision till later. You don't have to make a decision right now. You could stay in an in between. There's yes and there's no, and you can stay in an in between of maybe I'll think about it later. Give myself some time. Think about something else for now, and then come back to it later. She doesn't exactly have to make a decision right now. She's very opposed to that. She's like, no, I want to make a decision. I want to do it. I say, okay, well, okay, we can work with that then. What decision do you want to make then? And she looks at me and very intently, and she says, I want one. And I laugh at this. And it seems that you've already made your decision. So what's keeping you from choosing it? And then she grows a bit. Something shifts. It's a bit more quiet now, and she's thinking. And it's the feeling of being disappointment. And it could be a disappointment to a parent, it could be a disappointment because of something else, but this feeling of disappointment lingering in there, she doesn't want that to linger. The loneliness can linger, anything else can linger, but this feeling of being a disappointment, she does not want that to linger. Even if it doesn't become super heavy, she still just does not want that there. And that's why she's staying stuck in this middle ground, which she doesn't want to stay stuck in, but it's hard to make a choice because even if she says no, then what if she'll be disappointed in herself because she's denying herself of something that she wants? So she does not want this feeling of disappointment. I ask her if I can give my point of view on this since I'm like another voice in here. And she's okay with that. And I suggest like what if there's no wrong decision? That each decision you make is not a wrong one, it's just going to cause a certain outcome. Every decision you make is going to cause a certain outcome, but it doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. It's just going to be a new experience. You might say yes, and that'll be a new experience to work with, or you might say no, and that'll be an experience to work with. But no matter what, I think that she has a gift. You, Ianna, Ianna, you have a gift in like managing yourself and being able to conquer things that are presented within your being, whether it's loneliness or whatever it could be. And I think that disappointment in some way needs to be felt here just so that you can learn how to manage it, because I think that you can manage it. And the only way you would be able to know how to manage it is to just feel it for a moment. And introducing that idea, it makes me sad in the scene, almost to the point of wanting to cry, because something about that just feels sad. But she listens. You listen, and I really like that quality. And you don't make a choice about what I said, but you at least listen, and you allow yourself to just see what you think about that. And your higher self is building this whole scene, by the way. This scene is, I feel, being directed by her higher self. I feel her presence here. And in some way, I feel that she is this cookie jar. It's not really just about cookies. This is not just about cookies. This is about something else. It's about you. It's just about you and you. Relationship with yourself. Choosing some relationship with yourself that maybe some other people think that that's not a you that you should be, or that's a personality or whatever that you should have. You should be more like this or more like that, and be you and say, that I want this, but you don't. You. The truth is that you don't really want to feel that sense of disappointment from those people, and then you don't want to also say no and feel the disappointment from yourself. So you stay stuck in this middle ground. But I say that if this is for you, then you say yes and you just feel that disappointment and let it in. Because I you have a really filtery vibe to you. And I like that vibe of people, and what that means is like you being a filter, you let stuff into your being, whether it could be this loneliness or the disappointment just comes in, but you have just such a way, this natural gift of yours to be able to filter those things and not let them become so heavy within you, but turn into something like beautiful or bright. And you manage it really well. You do this really naturally. And you've been doing this at such a young age. And she says thank you. And it's nice for her to see it in that way. Sometimes when you have these decisions, it's easy. It helps to just see it in a different perspective, or maybe get a different perspective. It's nice to have this relationship that you have with yourself and being able to manage yourself and have these different distinctions of you working with yourself and being proud of that. But sometimes you also get to learn more about yourself from others as well. And yeah, that's what your higher self was wanting to share. And I'm still kind of lingering in this to just see if there's anything else. I would have wanted to see a scene where you actually get the cookies, but I don't know if I'm allowed to see what that's like for you. I think that's a you decision. So thank you for letting me be able to do this for you. I hope the time limit was not too long or too short even. I forgot to ask what time you wanted to do. I have like a 15-minute that I do, 30-minute, and maybe an hour someday. Um, but yeah, I hope this was just right for you. And again, thank you so much for letting me do this and tell me how to pronounce your name because I keep thinking about it. Have a great day. And I'll text you. I'll send this to you. Bye.